Hey, good morning, everyone. Well, at least it's morning for me. Anyway, I wanted to do this is going to be the first of two parts, and I would like you to first notice that I have pushed out to you this medieval philosophy versus Renaissance philosophy. And this is some notes that I'm going to be giving you about the difference between what happened in medieval thinking, the times of kings and queens, and what happened during the Renaissance period, how they thought about life, and how it was different and why it was different and how we can see it in a lot of different places. And that's a lot of what we're looking at when you're looking at the rise of the Renaissance. So I'm going to be giving this to you, this note-taking template in Google Classroom, and you should be able to write on it. And there's a couple of things. We're going to do annotations for sure. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that you have the proper definitions for the words, and the way that we're going to do that is to put them in the comment section. So if you look at my particular presentation here, I have several slides. Okay, and these slides are the same writing as are here. So you don't have to rewrite these. You've already got them here for you. And I'm going to go through them on my particular slide so I can show you what you need to do. So the first thing, so if we go through just really quickly, you can see that everything that's on your paper is on these slides. And I actually have some links to definitions, and I'll show you. We'll do the first one together. But if you look at medieval philosophy versus Renaissance philosophy, medieval philosophy, the way they look at life is considered Theo Centric. So if we go to the definition of Theo Centric, you'll notice that it says having God as a central interest and ultimate concern. So everything in life, according to a theocentric way of thinking, is that God is the center of everything. Okay, so having God as a central interest is the definition here. And if I go back to this document, what I'm going to ask you to do is highlight theocentric, and then in the comments, add God as the central interest. Okay, and then you can keep that there so that when I go to your paper to look at it, I'll see that you've put that in there. So this is one of the ways for you to do annotations. Okay, so I'll unhighlight that. I will unhighlight that, and I will ask you to go ahead and do that. As we go through this slide deck, you'll notice that there's several other definitions as well. One of the first ones is gospel. Now, there are several meanings for the gospels, and the ones that I'm looking at here are specifically ones that relate to the first four books of the New Testament. So after the Old Testament was written and the life of Jesus has taken place, they have new books, and they're called the Gospels. So you need to come up with one of these definitions. Okay, so B and C are good examples of what you'd want to write here. So if you need to stop and choose one to put into your document, please do that. Okay. When we go back, and I'm going to close up these tabs so that it's not so messy, we also have salvation. And salvation has many definitions. The one that we're looking at is the one here for in theology, the deliverance from the power and penalty of sin. This means that when it was believed by Christians that when they died, their hope was to be saved or to have salvation, meaning that their sin, any sin that they had committed in life, would be taken away and they would be permitted to go to heaven. And this was a central concern for all medieval people in Europe at the time. Everybody was very worried about whether or not they were going to heaven, and they actually lived their lives in order to make sure that that happened. Another term that we see, that we'll see coming up in when we talk about the Renaissance, are lay people. Okay. And a lay person is somebody who is not a member of the clergy. Okay. So this is not a monk. This is not a priest. This is not a nun. This is somebody outside of that existence. And they start to do writings, whereas before we only had monks and priests that were doing writings of any kind. As we continue through, we see the word doctrines. Okay, and a doctrine is a particular principle or position that is taught or advocated. So these are all the ideas that the Catholic Church of the time had, that you need to believe this, you need to listen to us, and we are going to tell you exactly the way that you should believe. And these are the beliefs that you should have. So when you say Catholic doctrine, you're talking about the ideas and belief systems of that particular religion. Okay, and we continue down. We have the term, whoops, sorry about that. We have the term natural order. Okay, and natural order is an orderly system comprising the physical universe. So during this time, it was believed that everything had a reason. Okay, so the reason that the wind blows, there's a natural scientific reason that this happens. Things fall down, snow falls, people get sick, that there's some kind of order, meaning there's something that can be discovered so that you know what's actually happened. Okay, it's not just because God made it happen, but because there's possibly some kind of natural way that this always happens. It can be predicted, and you can find ways for why that is, and that's called the natural order. Okay, and finally, in our last slide, we don't have any other terms that I want you to know. So we're going to go back up here to the top, and right now in this doc, you should have something for all of those words. I should see when I come back and I check this, when I check this homework assignment, I should see all those terms on the side written in the comments. I'm going to stop that here so that I can start a new one that's going to go through the notes themselves. Okay.